I started a very interesting subject which I plan on expanding. This is the subject right here. This one here. Not so much about this particular crime, all through this is so primitive, you know, this is so primitive stuff. Really, it's a primitive stuff. It's something that reminds me of people that would have a grammar school that were involved in this case and would be given a free hands to torture. But the main issue here is this one here for me to clarify this here. This here is what I want to clarify. You know, in other words, it says, you can understand why I requested from American politicians during their visits to Slovenia, and I did so. I did right in front of the Slovenian politicians too, to use nuclear bombs and turn Slovenia into a test field for nuclear arsenal. It's animals, not people. Nest of the Satanism. I begged US Air Force to use high-precision guided bombs and strike with everything they have, a parliament building. Wait a minute, in Ljubljana. This is not properly written. Strike with everything they have, a parliament building in Ljubljana. There you go. They didn't listen. Practically during MK Ultra torture. Yeah. Practically during what was... They didn't listen practically during what was MK Ultra torture. I wasn't hiding my feelings from Slovenian side who was present during my inquiries. It's very important. Claiming me instead I was mentally ill, yes, and that's the stuff I want to expand. I did expand stuff a little bit here below, yeah, but I want to be very precise about this issue. Why is this issue so important for me? Why is this issue so important for me? Why is this stuff so important for me to clarify? I asked Americans, a parliament building in Ljubljana, boom, full power with everything you have. All I want to do, all I want to see is a black smoke. I don't want to see the building. All I want to see basically is dust, black smoke. Why is this issue so important for me to clarify? Well, if I give you a little bit background, it's going to come down on the British Royals. It's going to come down on the British Royals. It's going to literally break down onto the British Royals. But let me give you a little bit of background anyways, right? Sure you can understand. It started when I was a baby in what was known as Yugoslavia, a greater Serbian Chetnik state known as Yugoslavia. That was a federation of republics, so they said, within which, just like in the Soviet Union, Russians ruled, Serbs ruled. So, as much as I could understand somewhat, even that there was truly no justification from the Slovenian side to do such aggressive crimes on a baby. There was other babies too. children. I would love to think it was not the case, but the children that went wrong because of the violence simply disappeared. I assume some on the graveyards, others into, perhaps, I don't know, because they had me inside of the home for elderly people, and they also had me inside of the facility for the children with mental disabilities. When they investigated local graveyard here in the city of the Nova Mesa, it appears that they couldn't find any. That's what they claimed me during MK Ultra. What the truth is, however, I don't know. They had cases like this in Celje where they had me. I bet in Ljubljana, which is much bigger, and in Maribor. You know, therefore, few different routes that were designed for, termination of the children that were involved, basically experiment children. I don't think any of these children went through the hell I did, that I have gone through the stuff like that. I did. Let me demonstrate Yugoslavia for you to understand. Yugoslavia. This stuff here. Was one time Americans, they had here American natives here. And these American natives popped up here. I call them Indians anyways. You see, here is a Slovenia, here's a Croatia, Bosnia, Serbia, Macedonia, Montenegro, you see. Was this song here that I posted some on my website.
The European Union supports open, democratic, and inclusive society.
This commercial is just perfect for me. Just perfect for me. I'm gonna get to that commercial. It's like a gift for me. It was involved in MK Ultra, but right now we're something completely different here. No, actually I can do it here, and I can continue after I play you this stuff here. This is the song. Basically, I wanted you to understand what brought American natives here. I liked American natives. I once really wanted to meet one native girl, American Indian from Arizona, from the Yellow Horse people. This is to explain I had nothing against you, and they realized when they came here that my problem was not. I had nothing to do with any of this stuff. They were laughing about this stuff. I posted this song one time in some video I was making, and it seems like they were looking at this stuff, and the next thing you see, I had people from the States saying to me, they expressed interest in something that had nothing to do with anything. Anyways, the only connection to the Indians I had was that as a child I loved nothing more than stories than about Indians and cowboys, and I dressed myself as a half Indian and as a half cowboy. I was always very deeply interested in American native culture, but as the greater than great Serbs with the Russians made it to United States of America alongside, they became my interpreters, and things turned out really, really ugly for the relation between myself, and American natives. They turned the relationship into something really ugly that was bound to be actually probably beautiful thing. That's how it goes, that's how it went. So Yugoslavia was several republics, of which the biggest one was Serbia, the same like the situation was in the Soviet Union with the Russians. Song is beautiful, but this is not what reality was. For me, the reality was a matter of, what did I wrote here on this blog today? I think I couldn't express myself better than I did. Yeah, for me, it was a struggle to remain alive. For me, it was a struggle to remain alive. I don't know how I would come to explain. Yeah, I guess I didn't even write this down because I don't know. It's it's really not worth the hassle to write, but for me to remain alive, I had several stages. William Shakespeare wrote that, whatever, stages of life, whatever. I had several stages of life. The first stage of my life was to exist. That's meant under my terms, it meant to remain alive. British royals, American politicians, French, they got to see this with their own eyes, actually. They got that the opportunity to actually see this with their own eyes. This was the first stage of my life. The second stage of my life, it's when I was growing up and such a degree of violence no longer could be exercised against me. The degree of violence was incredible. I told my mom yesterday, I told her, you're the one who were told in my first grade of grammar school that for the eyewear, literally, that would not fit my prescription, they destroyed my eyes, literally, through compelling me to use glasses. And during MK Ultra, it's what they would do. They would use the high dioptry, something I had nothing to do with glasses, and that's how they started to introduce me, also through other issues. Eye drops, they were also using eye drops, and whatever injections they were using that left me blind, basically sitting inside of the, more and more blind, basically, as the sight started to deteriorate inside of the classroom. You are the one that a physician, a doctor, a female doctor, optometrist told her, that I must be tutored, that I must be taught, that whatever a physician, a doctor says is like God, basically, that is saying, and therefore it must be obeyed, whatever. That's how they tutored, that's how that stuff was. And my mom was even taught that it's gonna come handy when, for the cost of health, literally for the cost of eyes, it will become handy, literally, once I grow up, because of the psychiatry. We'll never forget that. I think this is how they produce astigmatism also. Milan Kuchan was literally searching for the glasses that would have problems with people that would have different diseases and so on. And blood pressure in my eyes, they accomplished one with the use of drops, with the eye drops. They were using eye drops when I was child. They would just sit me with the fucking eye drops. Crazy stuff. Nose drops and eye drops. I don't know why the fuck they always loaded me with the eye drops. Every time they promoted at large eye drops. You know, once I got stronger and bigger, I was always strong and big, but the thing is that, I took off when I was 18 months old when compared to other children. I remember absolutely everything. 18 months. When I was 18 months, I was as strong and as big as the babies that were 2 years old, 2.5, and in some cases even more. You better believe it that I remember everything that went on. You better believe it. In 2 years, when you're 2 years of age, this is when the difference becomes the most apparent. So that you are talking to the right person. I mean, you did talk to the right person during MK Ultra. The second stage was to lift myself from having absolutely no personality whatsoever. The only personality I had was during MK Ultra, and that one was only based on, survival mode, basically. Survival mode, but in a very, very brilliant, intelligent way. Truly incredible. When I consider my personality, MK Ultra personality, is just mind-blowing. So then the third was the conquest for the supremacy. This is where I over the system. This is where I grew up enough to stand up and began to question their policies against me, their crime basically against me, which they triggered against me a barrage of psychological, already psychiatric violence for daring to even question their actions, their violent actions against me. And I had nothing to do with any psychiatry, but just questioning issues would deliver on the picture a new kind of threat when I was like 14 years of age. Things already started to turn very different. They already started 7th grade of grammar school, 13 years of age, already a psychiatry they planned on. And that did not survive because of immense ability to block me from employment, to continue with MK Ultra, to kill me basically on every step of the way. So those are the stages of my life, and the evolution of this genocide took place when Slovenia already became independent. So this country that I defended, this Slovenia, that I deemed would be different in one if we would only have the independent, if we were only independent, just turned out to be a total hellhole. Upon independence, it was time to become wealthy and more. Milan Kučan wanted Yugoslavia back, and Russia wanted Ukraine, etc., etc., and Baltic states and Poland and everything. But what is interesting to me is that once Slovenia became independent, things did not change in any way. And so when you lose your life to the enemy for the sake of something that you lived that would come to realization, which in my head was Slovenia, and once Slovenia happens, when it realizes itself, it falls to place, you see that you are just basically labeled as good as dead, that this violence goes on, and the yesterday's enemy becomes a ruler in your newly independent state, country. You don't feel any kind of obligation toward your fellow man anymore, that observe, that watch this, participate in it. Even those from the childhood that claimed, sympathized for the sake of independent Slovenia, joined that club. Well, it's time to acknowledge one as ultimate evil. I mean, I'm not an American. I was not born in the United States. I'm not a Native American. I should say not a Native American, and I am not German, and I am not Italian, and I'm not French, or any other nationality for that matter, not a native or whatever. And so when you have this kind of issue, they are not related to you. They are definitely not your relatives. You don't feel that they are related to you. It's like I would say, are you related to whoever, and you are not, to whatever nationality. And if you're not, you're not. I mean, simple as this. Simply, I figure out this is how it was. This is what it dictates, your survival basically dictates you under this type of circumstances, that I'm not going to say that's primitive, because they always put the words in my face, in my mouth. One of the expressions was related to anyone but you. This was Americans, because they wanted me to relate myself to, I don't know, to whom the fuck, whoever, whatever interests they lobbied for, sell themselves for, and so on. I didn't go and allow anybody to demote me into animal, to take my face down from me and turn me to whatever they wanted to turn me for, whatever or whoever, I didn't allow any of that kind of stuff. I didn't allow basically for a suffering basically to take over, to turn me into whatever they wanted to, use that stuff for. I was just simply, I came to conclusion simply that, all this British and French and Americans and Germans and so on, I came to conclusion that it was very, very simple. It really didn't matter what they were doing to me. In a sense that Slovenia was doing all this bad stuff, the stuff that went on since I was a baby. I think I did express myself properly. So all these people from outside, it really didn't matter what they were doing to me, because they were doing bad stuff to me along the way. For the sake of Slovenia, they sympathized with Slovenia, and they did their best to their abilities they could to present me to the world as mentally ill person. They supported Slovenia with the violence. They wouldn't be doing that kind of stuff if, so I figure out that whatever they do is a really, really small issue when compared to where I'm coming from. Basically, where I was coming from before this Slovenia became independent. Basically, no longer was there anybody I could blame, including Serbs and Russians. You understand me now what I'm trying to say. So, that's where my logic derived from. My logic didn't go, this guy's doing and so that guy's doing and this and that, you're all the same and this and that. It derived simply from the fact that whatever the British, Germans and Americans and others were doing to me, they were not associated with me in absolutely any national way. They were not associated to me as, they were not Slovenians, basically. They were foreign people. Not foreign people to me in a sense they were my allies. I consider them as my allies, because this is how this struggle went on since my childhood, since I was baby. But still, these are foreign people. These are not natives from here. It's much, much worse if your mother and your father and your family are doing something bad to you than if the people, the foreign people, whether that be your neighbors or whatever, whoever in your country is doing to you. You understand me what I'm trying to say? And so it's much, much worse. You have your fellow people, your fellow men, doing bad stuff to you than if the foreign people do. Even if you compare from that logic, I don't know if these people ever understood this stuff. How did they understood this stuff? But I was everything except for what they begging for they're gonna get out. I was not resistant. I simply allowed to be abused and tortured as much as abuser and torturer needed to convince or himself, herself, themselves, whatever. And that's all there is to it. Basically, I leased my body and my soul to the Satan just so the evil could pass them, basically. So they could, believe that they accomplished certain psychological, psychiatric goals, establish their point of view in me, that kind of stuff. But that's all there ever was. And these people simply, it became clear, they just wanted to get me killed. They just wanted to waste me, And so it became also evident something else, as I promised you at the beginning of this video. It will come down to the British royals. It's going to break down on British royals. This is the first time in 53 years. In 53 years, indeed, I'm 53 now. that I have ability to smash King Charles straight on his nose in respect to this issue, because it was again this post that I posted here, this stuff here, that he counted on. He counted on a stuff like this for no less than 53 years. This is what they do. Do you know how they count on this stuff? Do you know how they see themselves in this stuff? They see this type of chaos, pain, suffering, gates of hell in one that he is delivered to as an opportunity, as their perfect playground, because they have nothing and nobody to fear from. As long as they're in a good relation with the country that is doing this stuff, they have nobody and nothing to fear from. They just wanted for me to sell my soul to the Satan. And the real Satan is in Britain. The real Satan is based in London, in the Buckingham Palace. That's how it is. This is the first time that Charles is not going to be capable to barantati, we say. You know, in Slovenian we say, in the language we say barantati. I don't like this negotiate. Barantania is a dirty expression. And your King Charles is a filthy man, by the way. They all are. Haggle, you know, like haggling. Haggling would be the right. You are as good as dead with the people like this. You stand no chance. They are truly are animals. They are truly, truly, truly animals. The more they feel that you are in problems, the bigger their self-confidence. When they commit crimes, I'm going to explain to you who Charles is. I'm going to explain to you who all they are. They commit horrific crimes. They get their hands dirty because they give the favor to the countries with whom they try to mingle, with whom they try to create diplomatic relations. And then what they do is they put person through the psychological hell, through the pathos, literally through the pathos, through the nothing other than suffering, through the pathos. They put person into position that person position itself against the system. And this is a perfect playground for the British Royals. Then they fuck with that person until the person's job is dead, literally. Never ever touching the system where that person is from, as long as the system is somewhat compliant and willing to continue to haggle with them. They're all the same seats. It doesn't matter which one of them. They're all the same one. It's all the same thing. There is no difference between any of them, and it doesn't pertain to them only. It pertains to all these diplomats from the West. More than anyone, maybe even Germans, I don't know. I know that Germany is #1 country in the Europe when it comes to economy. But when it comes to the right for one to even apply for political refuge, for political asylum, past so many political asylum applicants that come from Asia, from Africa, from other countries, from the third world, from world outside of the Europe, let's just say. it will not allow you as a European Union citizen to apply for political protection, asylum in another European Union country. While at the same time, no, you cannot apply for protection in any European Union member country, state, file political asylum in one against another fellow, fellow. That's how disgusting this stuff is. Fellow European Union, or I should say you cannot file political asylum against another European Union membership state. That's how I ended up applying in Canada. That's how I ended up applying in Norway. That's how I ended up applying in, literally, as insane as this stuff is, in Belarus and in Ukraine. And before that, what I even attempted was to land inside of the Moscow. This is what makes them. That's why this video is so important. That's why this video is so important. This is, like I said, one time that something that Charles otherwise would make business out of ended up with a broken nose, with a bleeding nose, literally. That's today. He was doing this stuff to me for 53 years, and the Germans did too. That's how they get their politics going. This is one of their strongest diplomacy sites or tricks, scam, I'm gonna say. That's how they get this stuff going. I thought this was a worthy video. I thought that it was productive, that you could learn a lot from this video. If you are MK Ultra victim and you find yourself in this situation, that you understand how they do this stuff, why they do it this way, and who is behind it all. Now, with the allies like this, you're as good as that, but the truth is, with the allies like this, you're better off dead.